The House will please be in order. Those persons not having privileges of the floor will please vacate the chamber at this time, and all members and guests in the galleries will please rise as we are led in prayer this morning by the gentleman from the 13th, Doug Higginbotham.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you now for gathering all of us here at the state's beautiful capital. We thank you for having the opportunity to serve you and to do your work here in this building. We ask that you keep all of us safe and make sure that all of us know why we're fighting, why we're working, why we're striving. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. All members and guests will please remain standing as we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning by the gentleman from the 43rd, Delegate Thompson.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members and guests in the gallery, please join us as we recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members and guests will be seated. Reading of the Journal.
Journal of the House of Delegates, Charleston, Thursday, January 30th, 2020.
The gentleman from the 48th, Doug Queen.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of the Journal be dispensed with and it be approved as having been read.
The gentleman from the 48th asks unanimous consent that further reading of the Journal be dispensed with and it be approved as having been read. Are there objections? The chair hears no objections. Reading of the Journal is dispensed with. Lady from the 49th for an update on the calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Committee substitute for House Bill 4059 and Committee substitute for House Bill 4198 from second reading special calendar are moved to the House calendar.
Introduction of guests. Introduction of guests. The gentleman from the 22nd, Doug Maynard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Paging on behalf of me and the gentleman from the 63rd, we have paging with us from Martinsburg, Claire Freeman, if she would stand, and she is escorted by her parents, Morgan and Stacy Freeman, if they would stand also, and will the House please make them feel welcome.
The gentleman from the 28th, Delegate Pack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Cooper and myself, we have pages from beautiful Monroe County. If you all would stand when I call your name, we have Rosalind St. Clair, Lily St. Clair, Sadie Maxey, Bailey Ridgway, Cooper Ridgway, Caitlin Jones, Caleb Long, Cole Thomas, Madison Noonkester, Elizabeth Adkins, and Isabel Adkins. If the House would please make them welcome.
The gentleman from the 22nd, Doug Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the North Gallery, I have some friends visiting with us today to watch House Bill 4381. So on behalf of myself, Delegate Maynard, Rodriguero, and Tomlin, I'd like to welcome Philip and Brianna Williamson. If they would stand and the House make them welcome.
The gentleman from the 23rd, Delegate Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of myself and the gentleman from the 25th, Delegate Painter, we have some special friends up in the South Gallery. If they would stand to be recognized, we have a young man, a senior from Sherman High School, who come to visit us and see the actions of the House. His name is R.J. Klein, and he is accompanied by his mother, Regina Larkin. Would the House please make them feel welcome?
The gentleman from the 32nd, Delegate Fast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In North Gallery, they asked me not to do this, but I'd like to introduce someone very near and dear to me, a lady that did an excellent job raising children, my mother, Betty Fast, and our mutual friend, Debbie Saylor, both registered nurses from Marion County. Would the House please make them feel welcome?
The gentleman from the 29th, Delegate Steele.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the North Gallery with us today is Holly Garrison and her daughter Layla, representing the West Virginians for Health Freedom. If the House would make them feel welcome.
The gentleman, the 54th, Docket Hott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I could direct your attention to the North Gallery, I have 3 introductions today. With us from the president of the West Virginia Poultry Association, I have Darrell C., if he'd please stand. Also accompanying him is Doe Walker, the vice president of the West Virginia Poultry Association, and someone I'm very proud of from my hometown, Vanessa Harper, who is a USDA veterinarian supervisor. Make them feel welcome, please.
The gentleman, the 44th, Docket Hannah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce some pages today that we have with us from Glade Elementary in beautiful Webster County. If they please stand when I call their names: Jocelyn Castile, Mallory Snyder, and Hunter Cronenberg. If the House would please make them feel welcome.
The gentleman, the 28th, Docket Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I overlooked to do this a while ago, but in the West Gallery today, we have visiting with us from Monroe County our prosecuting attorney, Justin St. Clair, and his wife, if they would stand. And also, all those parents that brought their kids down here from Monroe County today, would you please stand? Let's let the House make them welcome. Thank you.
The gentleman, the 17th, Docket Lovejoy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have some guests today in the South Gallery. First, I'd like to introduce Brent Walters. He's the Chief Public Defender for Cabell and Wayne counties, if Brent would stand. Also have some students from Dr. Phil Carter's social work program at Marshall University: Lydia Freeman, Messina Blankenship, Morgan Duffy, Corinne Boyer, and Josh Ruby. If they would stand, House, please make them feel welcome.
The gentleman, the 42nd, Docket Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Lavender Bowe and myself, in our South Gallery, happens to be here for Agriculture Day. She is the CEO of the State Fair of West Virginia. If she'll stand, Kelly Tuckwiller Collins. Will the House please make her welcome?
The gentleman, the 30th, Docket Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sitting next to Kelly up in the South Gallery is a young man that's the president of our fairs and festivals, an attorney from Beckley, a friend of mine, and I believe maybe one day even a member of this body. So if anyone could make him feel welcome. Hey, Gavin.
The gentleman, the 16th, Docket Hornbuckle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, if you could direct your attention to the South Gallery. Today, I also have some friends from the Marshall University social work class with us today, and please stand when I say your name, is January Jarrett, Markeisha Ross, Kyla Harvey, Chastity Mullins. And also from that class, I have some personal interns with us, and Jada Carr, Elena Compton, Jayla Thornhill, and Zakiah Brown. House, please make them feel welcome.
The gentleman, the 4th, Docket Canestraro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Zukov and myself, in the South Gallery today, we have two friends from back home in Marshall County, Michelle Marinacci, and the gentleman that's probably, I hope, is going to take my place on the floor of this House, Christian Turak. Would they please stand and let the House make them feel welcome?
The gentleman, the 34th, Docket Boggs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Have a number of folks here today for Conservation Day in the districts that are throughout the state. And if they've made it to the chamber, two special guests here from West Fork Conservation District, Jane Collins, if she would stand, and also from Elk Conservation, Don Burrows, if he would stand. If they're in the gallery, the members, please make them welcome.
The gentleman, the 43rd, Docket Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Hartman and myself, we have some pages with us today. If they would please stand. Kennedy Calkins, Devin Hulver, and in the West Gallery, they are escorted by their moms, Jody and Sherry. If you guys would also please stand. And the House, please make them feel welcome. Thank you.
The gentleman, the 55th, Douglas SPONAUGLE.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery today, we have three people from Pendleton County that I want to introduce. First, TERRI Claypool, stand up. Second, Gail Arnott, stand up. And last but not least, this person deserves a standing ovation for putting up with me, my wife, Tasha SPONAUGLE. Will the House make them welcome?
The lady from the 51st, Douglas Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Happy Friday, everyone. On behalf of myself and the Fab Five of Mon County, I would like to introduce some WVU Master of Social Work and Public Administration students. Please stand up. Becca Dunaway. Please stand up. Meg Haller. Please stand up. Maggie Beck and Kara W. Can your House please make them feel welcome?
The lady from the 4th, Douglas Zukoff.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have some very special friends from Marshall County here today for Ag Day. Miss Brianna Procula and her father, Mike, are here. Brianna is a student at WVU and is here for Ag Day representing, she's the queen of the West Virginia Fairs and Festivals Association, and we're very proud of her. Will the House please make them feel welcome?
The gentleman, the 19th, Douglas Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Wayne and Cabell counties and all the delegates, I would like to introduce a guest today. His name is Brent Walters. He's the chief of the Public Defenders Corporation for Cabell and Wayne counties. House, please make Mr. Walters welcome.
The gentleman, the 19th, Douglas Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of myself, Delegate Hicks, Rohrbach, and Lovejoy, we have some social work students from Marshall here today from Wayne County. They are Cassandra Scarberry and Ashley Ross, along with their classmate Reagan True. If they would please stand up and everybody give them a round of applause. Thank you.
The gentleman, the 50th, Douglas CAPITO.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Angelucci, Longstreth, and myself, we have a former member here and a very, very dear friend of mine. I'd like to please ask him to stand in the House. Welcome my old buddy Tim Manchin back to the chamber. And Mr. Speaker, if you would, I'd like to draw your attention to his attire today. He come in with a sweater, and I told him the rules, and, he needed a tie. So we checked with the clerk, and the clerk's exact words was, you are in compliance with House rules, but your apparel is not very attractive. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
If the gentleman would like to enter on the journal, now would be the time.
What was that?
Gentleman, the 17th, Douglas Lovejoy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize earlier. I messed up and I left off Elena Guthrie over in the South Gallery. Thank you.
Are there further introductions? If not, reports to standing committees.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration House Bill 4546 relating to tuberculosis testing for school superintendents. Reports the same back with amendment with recommendation that it do pass, that it be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources.
The report will be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration House Bill 4378 relating to disciplining teachers. Reports back to committee substitute, therefore, with recommendation that the committee substitute do pass.
The report will be received.
Your Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 4540 authorizing the appointment, qualifications, certification, authority, compensation, and training of hospital police officers. Reports the same back with amendment with recommendation that it do pass, that it be referred to Committee on Finance.
The report will be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
The Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 4410 permitting directors and executive officers of a banking institution to borrow from a banking institution which he or she is connected. House Bill 4559 modifying the limitations on civil actions against the perpetrator of sexual assault or sexual abuse upon a minor. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 311 relating to court-ordered community service, and Committee substitute for Senate Bill 357 authorizing the Department of Revenue promulgate legislative rules. Reports the same back with recommendation that each do pass.
The report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration House Bill 4395, removing the requirement that a veterinarian access and report to the Controlled Substance Monitoring Database. House Bill 4414, relating to the selection of language and development milestones for the deaf and hard of hearing children. And House Bill 4415, relating to missing and endangered children. Reports back committee substitutes, therefore, with recommendation that the committee substitutes each do pass.
The report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration House Bill 4354, adding nabiximols to the permitted list of distributed and prescribed drugs, and House Bill 4422, the Patient Brokering Act. Reports the same back with recommendation that each do pass, that they be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
The report will be received. Both bills be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration House Bill 4161, making it illegal to sclero tattoo a person. Reports the same back with recommendation that it do pass.
The report will be received.
Your Committee on Prevention and Treatment of Substance Abuse has had under consideration House Bill 4620, redefining definition of recovery residence. Reports the same back with recommendation that it do pass, that it be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources.
The report will be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration House Bill 2967, permitting a county to retain the excise taxes for the privilege of transferring title of real estate. Reports back to committee substitute, therefore, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass.
The report will be received.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration House Bill 4090, creating the Oil and Gas Abandoned Well Plugging Fund. Reports back to committee substitute, therefore, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass.
The report will be received.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration Committee substitute for House Bill 4438, relating to the licensing of advanced deposit wagering. Reports the same back with amendment, with recommendation that it do pass as amended.
The report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration House Bill 4375, speech, language pathologists, and audiologist compacts. Reports the same back with recommendation that it do pass, and that the second reference to the Committee on Judiciary be dispensed with.
The report will be received. Lady from the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The two chairs have conferred on this matter, and I now ask unanimous consent that the second reference of the bill to the Committee on the Judiciary be dispensed with.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent that the second reference to the Committee on Judiciary for House Bill 4375 be dispensed with. Does the chair hear objection? The chair does not hear objection. The second reference to Judiciary is dispensed with. Are there further reports of standing committees? If not, reports of select committees. Messages from the executive, messages from the Senate.
The Clerk of the Senate announces the passage by the Senate of Committee Substitute for Senate Bill 175, requiring certain agencies maintain website which contains specific information.
The message will be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization, then the Committee on Finance.
The Senate has passed committee substitute for Senate Bill 261, creating criminal penalties for introducing ransomware into computer with intent to extort.
The message will be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
The Senate has concurred in the House amendments and passed committee substitute for Senate Bill 323, authorizing the Department of Administration to promulgate legislative rules.
The message will be received.
The Senate has passed committee substitute for Senate Bill 339, authorizing DHHR to promulgate legislative rules.
The message will be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
The Senate has adopted Senate Concurrent Resolution 10, requesting study of current West Virginia laws relating to anti-bullying and measures in schools.
The message will be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on the resolution will be referred to the Committee on Education, then the Committee on Rules. Are there further messages from the Senate? If not, resolutions.
House Concurrent Resolution 50, requesting the Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation to conduct annual studies on the reporting of sexual assault in the state's correctional facilities.
Lady of the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of resolutions introduced be dispensed with and that each resolution be considered as formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent that further reading of resolutions introduced be dispensed with and that each resolution be considered as having been formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Are there objections? Chair hears no objections. Petitions? Motions? Bills introduced.
House Bill 4621, West Virginia FinTech Regulatory Sandbox Act.
Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of bills introduced be dispensed with and that each bill be considered as formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent that further reading of bills introduced be dispensed with and that each bill be considered as having been formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Are there objections? The chair hears no objections. Unfinished business. Bills on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2338, allowing the owner of an antique military vehicle to display alternative registration insignia.
Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having it read? The chair hears no objection. The gentleman from the 56, Douglas Howe, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of this bill is to exempt antique military vehicles from displaying a registration plate if the plate would alter the vehicle's original military markings. The Division of Motor Vehicles Commissioner shall issue an alternative registration to allow the vehicle to maintain its accurate historical markings. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Do members wish to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent not voting. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2338.
Are there amendments to the title? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate and request concurrence therein. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 4179, recognition of emergency medical services personnel licensure interstate compact.
Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having it read? The chair hears no objection. The gentleman from the 56, Douglas Howe, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of this bill is to enact a recognition of emergency medical service personnel licensure interstate compact, entering into the compact with all jurisdictions and also enacting the compact. The bill was recommended by the Committee on Volunteer Fire Departments and Emergency Medical Services for introduction and passage during the 2020 regular session. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there members who wish to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, those in favor of passage will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent not voting. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 4179.
Are there amendments to the title? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate and request concurrence therein. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 4359, increasing the filing fees for insurers.
Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having it read? The chair hears no objection. The gentleman from the 12th, Doug Westfall, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 4359, the bill would amend West Virginia Code 33-6-34, which prescribes the fees for various form filings or rate or rule filings by insurance companies with the insurance commissioner. Currently, the fee for a form filing is $50, and the fee for a rule or rate filing is $75. If the fee is made on behalf of one or more insurers, the fee shall be submitted as each insured has submitted individually. The bill amends this section to establish a uniform fee of $100 for filing each insurer for the number of forms, rates, or rules, including in filings made by insured at the same time. The fee for filing made on behalf of one or more insurers is amended to be $100 multiplied by the number of insurers on whose behalf the filing is made. Although the fee for filing is a single form, a rate had been increased. The insurance commissioner advised that the bill is expressed to be revenue neutral because the multiple filings can be made by insurer at the same time for a single fee of $100. That's the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there members who wish to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 85 ayes, 11 nays, and 4 members absent not voting. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 4359.
Are there amendments to the title? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Request concurrence therein. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 4381, relating to lifetime hunting, fishing, and trapping licenses for adopted children.
Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having it read? Chair hears no objection. The gentleman from the 11th, Delegate Atkinson, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chapter 20, Section 2B, subsection 7B, currently permits residents who have not reached their second birthday to obtain their lifetime hunting, fishing, and trapping license for 1/2 fee of the adult lifetime hunting, fishing, and trapping license. This bill would be extended to the opportunity for residents who have been legally adopted and have not reached their 12th birthday for a period of 2 years from the date of entry of the order or decree of adoption. Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there members who wish to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, those in favor of passage will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent not voting. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 4381.
Are there amendments to the title?
Delegate Atkinson moves to amend the title.
The question before the House is the adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of the title amendment will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it, and the chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title as amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate and request concurrence therein. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4470, relating to persons 18 years of age or older in the custody of the Bureau of Juvenile Services.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having it read? The chair hears no objection. The gentleman, the 27th, Delegate Schott, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill was requested by the Department of Military Affairs and Public Safety to correct an error in our current code. Currently, West Virginia Code Section 49-4722E provides that the Commissioner of the Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation is authorized to designate a unit in one or more institutions, either juvenile facilities, jails, or prisons, which is under his or her management, to house adults that remain under the juvenile jurisdiction of the circuit court, to ensure that such persons are not within sight or sound of juvenile detainees or adult inmates. The bill strikes the words juvenile detainees or from section 49-4-722E to make it clear that adults that are under the juvenile jurisdiction of the circuit court may not be held within the sight or sound of adult inmates. Mr. Speaker, that's the bill. I urge its passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there members who wish to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, those in favor of passage will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent not voting. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4470.
Are there amendments to the title? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Request concurrence therein. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 4476, providing for the timely and efficient collection, submission, testing, retention, and disposition of forensic evidence in sexual assault cases.
Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having it read? The chair hears no objection. The gentleman in the 35th, Doug CAPITO, to explain the bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everybody. House Bill 4476 concerns the timely and efficient collection, submission, testing, retention, and disposition of forensic evidence in sexual assault cases. What this bill does is it adds several things to the code. I'll give a summarization of the additions to the code, and I'm happy to take questions following that. The bill adds multiple new subsections and requires that the sexual assault kit must be submitted directly to the West Virginia State Police Forensic Laboratory within 30 days or as soon as reasonably practical. And all kits must be tested unless the victim recants or the crime is determined to be unenforceable or unfounded. The West Virginia State Police is provided to propose rules. The kits must be transmitted back to the appropriate law enforcement agency and shall be retained by that agency for the appropriate period of time as promulgated. And by December 1st, 2020, there must be a strategic plan to establish the order of priority for testing of those kits. The Commission shall also establish a tracking system for victims so that they may be aware of the status of the kit. And the Commission shall also submit a report to the Legislature's Joint Committee on Government and Finance. The law enforcement agency that retains the kit must obtain approval from a circuit court before disposing of the kit. And before any of the kits may be disposed of, reasonable efforts must be made to provide written notice to the victim. Any person who willfully neglects or refuses to do or perform any act in connection with this section is guilty of a misdemeanor. And lastly, this code provision changes the name that the Division of Justice and Community shall be now changed to the Division of Administrative Services. Mr. Speaker, that's a summarization of the bill. Happy to take questions, and I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there members who wish to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on this question. There are 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent not voting. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 4476.
Are there amendments to the title?
Delegate Schott moves to amend the title.
The question before the House is the adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title of the bill will be and remain the title as amended by the House. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate and request concurrence therein. Are there further bills on third reading? If not, bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3049, improving dissemination of boiled water advisories to affected communities.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Hill moves to amend the bill on page 3, line 51, after H by inserting the word by.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment as just read by the clerk. The gentleman from the 41st, Doug Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is just a technical amendment to insert the word by on line 51 to set the July 1, 2021 deadline for which boiled water advisories must be made available via text and a voice alert mass notification system. I urge adoption.
Do other members wish to speak to the amendment? If not, the question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the amendment adopted. Are there further amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
House Bill 4356.
Are there amendments to the bill? Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be postponed one day.
Lady from the 49th moves that further action on House Bill 4356 be postponed one day. Those in favor will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. Action will be postponed one day. Next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4434.
Are there amendments? Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be postponed one day.
Lady from the 49th moves that action on committee substitute for House Bill 4434 be postponed by one day. Those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. Further action will be postponed by one day. Next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4484 relating to the Hazardous Waste Management Fund.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 4600 relating to the definition of the term member regarding distribution premium tax proceeds.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 4601 relating to the distribution of premium tax proceeds to municipal policemen's and firemen's pension and relief funds.
Are there amendments? No. If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Are there further bills on second reading? If not, bills on first reading.
House Bill 2164 clarifying that appeals to the Supreme Court are a matter of right.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2892 including digital and virtual information in the definition of property that can't be searched and seized by a warrant.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4001 creating the West Virginia Impact Fund.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4102 relating to opioid antagonists.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4137 allowing counties to store and maintain voter registration records in digital format.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 4412 relating to education benefits to the members of the West Virginia Army National Guard and West Virginia Air National Guard.
The bill will be advanced. Are there further bills on first reading? If not, leaves of absence. Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, for our colleagues Delegate Mant, Ellington, Brown, and Porterfield.
Are there objections to leaves being granted? The chair hears no objections and leaves shall be granted. Remarks by members? Remarks by members. Introduction of guests. The gentleman from the 44th, Douglas Hanna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I missed an introduction earlier in the day. In the West Gallery, we have students from the social work from West Virginia State University, Emily Fields, and others. If they would please stand in the house, would make them feel welcome.
The lady from the 52nd, Douglas SYPOLT.
Mr. Speaker, I have comments to make, and I missed hitting the recognition button. Is it appropriate that I would make these comments now or wait till after the introductions?
Are there objections to the lady proceeding? There are none. Lady may proceed.
Okay, thank you. Mid-February of last year, I stood in this chamber with a very heavy heart and informed this chamber that we had had a tragedy in Preston County, that there had been a car accident with 4 of our students from Preston High School. One of the boys were critically injured and passed away shortly after that. At that time, I'd asked for prayers for his family, his friends, and the students and staff of Preston High School. His name was Braden Bishop. Today, again, I stand with a heavy heart. Again, Preston County and Preston High School has lost another. Again, I ask for a moment of silence for the same Bishop family. They have lost another son, Grayson Bishop, a junior at Preston High School. May we pray that the Almighty God wrap his arms around his family, his friends, and the students and staff of Preston High. Thank you.
Chair would ask all members and guests in the galleries to please rise for a brief moment of silence. Members and guests may be seated. The lady from the 57th, Douglas ROWAN.
Introduction of guests.
Lady may proceed.
From West Virginia's oldest county and from its equally beautiful sister Mineral, I have people here today from the Conservation Farmer of the Year. So if the Newcomer family would stand up, I have Luke and Gabby Newcomer and their beautiful daughter Charlotte, and there's other members of the Conservation District. If the House would give them a wild and wonderful West Virginia welcome.
The gentleman, the 22nd, Douglas Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to introduce our doctor of the day. Today is Tracy Hendershot from Elizabeth, West Virginia, if the House would make him welcome.
The gentleman, the 50th, Douglas Angelucci.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask that the gentlelady's comments from the 52nd be printed in the appendix of the journal.
Does the chair hear objection? Chair does not. Request to be granted. The lady in the 51st, Douglas Fleschauer.
I had two visitors from WVU today, and I was not in my office when they came by. Of course, I'm almost always in committee meetings. But they are Claire Bentley and David Benyon, and they are both with WVU Hospital. If they are in the audience, since I didn't meet you, would you please stand, and would the House give them a warm welcome?
Are there further introductions? If not, miscellaneous business to come before the House? If none, lady from the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move, subject to announcements, the House adjourn until 11 a.m. on Monday.
The lady from the 49th moves that, subject to announcements, the House stand adjourned until 11 a.m. Monday morning. Are there announcements? Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Rules will meet at 10:45 Monday behind the chamber.
The gentleman from the 10th, Douglas Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Finance will meet Monday morning at 9 a.m. in the Government Organization Committee room for the continuation of the budget hearing for the Department of Human Resources. Thank you.
The gentleman from the 35th, Douglas Capito.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday morning at 9:30, the Committee on the Judiciary will meet in the committee room. The agenda for that meeting will be posted.
The gentleman from the 45th, Douglas Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Government Organization will reconvene today at 1 p.m. to continue our posted agenda. Also, Mr. Speaker, the Republican members of your Committee on Government Organization will caucus in the Chairman's office on Monday, February 3rd at 3 p.m., room 213 in the East Wing. And, Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Government Organization will meet on Monday, 4 p.m. in the House Government Organization Committee room. The agenda will be posted.
The lady from the 57th, Douglas Rowan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the Children and Families Committee, I have a very special announcement. Our clerk is a new daddy. So if you see Will today, Heath Robert Quinley was born around 7 p.m. last night, weighing 7 pounds, 14 ounces. So he's feeling kind of poorly today, but if you see him, please congratulate him.
The gentleman from the 13th, Douglas Cato.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources will meet Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock in the Judiciary Committee room. The agenda has been posted. And if anybody wants to go for another tour downstate, please, today's the day. Holler at me after session.
The gentleman the 12th, Douglas Westfall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Banking Insurance will meet Monday, February 3rd at 1 o'clock p.m. in the Government Organization Room. The agenda will be posted. Thank you.
Are there other announcements? If not, the question before the House is the motion that the House stand adjourned until 11 a.m. Monday. Those in favor will please say aye. Any opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The House is adjourned until 11 a.m. Monday.
The Senate will please come to order. The Senate will please come to order. All those not having privileges of the floor will please vacate the chamber. And with those on the floor and our guests in the gallery, please rise as we are led in prayer this morning by Pastor Mike Harper of North Hills Baptist Church in Charleston, West Virginia. And then please remain standing as we are led in the pledge this morning by the Senator from Wyoming County, Pastor Harper.
Shall we bow in prayer? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today, thanking you for this another day you've blessed us with. What a great privilege it is to stand in your presence today as our Creator and as our Sustainer. May we continue to be dependent upon you in every area of our lives. As the psalmist said, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. We come now into your presence with humble hearts, seeking your wisdom and guidance on behalf of our state senators and their staff. May their decisions today and every day be according to your will. Strengthen all of them and help them to show forth the fruits of your Spirit of love and joy and peace and generosity as they go about their work of serving the people of this great state. Grant them the spirit of compassion and cooperation. And Father, we also pray for our great country. Father, bless our President and Vice President and all members of Congress as they work together to lead our country in a manner that will be pleasing to you. Bless our great Governor, Jim Justice, and his administration as they lead the people in the state of West Virginia. We also remember our soldiers here at home and throughout the world. Protect them as they serve to protect us. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful land we call home. And I thank you for every blessing you have bestowed upon us. I ask you to forgive us where we have failed you and enable us to live a life in a manner which is pleasing to you. In Jesus' name we do pray, and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Harper. The senator from Wyoming County.
Would everybody in the gallery and in the chamber please join me in saying the pledge to the greatest country in the history of the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Reading of the journal.
West Virginia Legislature Senate Journal, January 30th, 2020. The Senate met at 11:08 a.m. Senator Carmichael.
The senator from Monongalia County requests unanimous consent that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read. Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Introduction of guests. On behalf of the Senate, it is my pleasure to welcome our honorary pages for the day. Please stand and be recognized when your name is called. As guest of the senior senator from the 16th, we have Benjamin Herlick and Hannah Herlick and Connor Hawkins. And as guest of the senator from Greenbrier, Caitlin Criss, Lauren Burke, and Shane Arthur. They're all standing in the front. If the Senate would give them a warm welcome. Thank you. You may be seated. Further introductions. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Senate, it is my honor and yours to recognize our doctor for the day. In the rear of the chamber, we have with us Dr. Tracy Hendershot. If you wouldn't mind standing, let the Senate give you a warm welcome.
The senior senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a few introductions today. I want to start with the North Gallery, a man by the name of Robert Marshall. Robert, stand if you will. He's a local first responder that loves helping his community, and I got to know Robert probably 8 or 9 years ago. I was putting on an event at the drag strip in Mason County, and it was to help get kids off the street and do organized racing at the track, and he had a chassis dyno that he brought there to the track and set it up for the kids to put their cars on, and he also had a car there and he competed, and I appreciate his participation in that. Senate, please join me in making him welcome. Seated in the President's Gallery, we have Jerry Bain. He manages a West Virginia Off-Highway Vehicle Coalition, and there's a table set up out here in the rotunda, and he's educating people on what's going on with My Love, which is off-highway use of vehicles. The goal of his group is to organize off-road clubs across the state to support legislation favorable to our community. He's a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer and currently resides in Burning Springs, West Virginia. Senate, please join me in making him welcome. Stand up, Jerry. Also seated in the President's Gallery is Karina Whittington. She's an active member of the West Virginia Jeep Club, West Virginia Army National Guard, and a Veterans of Foreign Wars member. She owns a Jeep Rubicon and is named the Riveter, and she's a member of the club, and it's been a fantastic adventure for her and experience, and the display of continuous patriotism, community service, and service to her state, and that group has been a positive effect on her family and herself, and it's been active, controlled, drug-free, and a safe club to be a part of, and she's here supporting the movement to allow us to access public lands. Karina, please stand, and Senate make her welcome. Also seated with her is Stephen Austin, and he's a member of the West Virginia Jeep Club as well. And Stephen, stand and make him feel welcome. I'm saving the best for last. Ben Burr is joining us today from Utah, and he is the Blue Ribbon Coalition Policy Director. And I want to say a little bit about the Blue Ribbon Coalition. There's a handout on your table, and they're a national nonprofit organization that champions responsible recreation and encourages a strong conversation ethic and individual stewardship. They champion responsible use of public lands and waters for the benefit of all recreationists by educating and empowering their members to secure, protect, and expand shared outdoor recreation access and use by working collaboratively with natural resource managers and other recreationists. I want to say a little bit about Ben. So he's a longtime advocate and fighter for increased access to public lands and utilization of natural resources. From spending his summers in high school working for a helicopter logging operation in multiple states to working in the U.S. Senate, he has been directly involved in issues related to land policy for most of his working life. He is passionate about helping rural America find new opportunities to succeed in our changing world, and he flew in from Utah just to be to our Jeep rally tomorrow here on the Capitol. And Senate, please join me and give him a special welcome.
Are there further introductions? The senator from Preston County.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the senator from Tucker County and myself, we're pleased to have a great friend and public servant with us today in the North Gallery. West Virginia University Preston County Extension Agent Bill Shockey, if you'd please stand and the Senate make him welcome. Thank you, Bill, for being here.
Further introductions? Further introductions. The junior senator or the senior senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my pleasure and the senator from Jefferson to have some of the friends from us from the Eastern Panhandle here with us today, accompanying our pages. We have the aunt of Hannah and Benjamin, Doris Tuckweller, here today, along with the parent of Connor, Kevin Delaney. If they would stand and receive a warm Senate welcome.
Senator from Greenbrier County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here with two of our pages, Lauren and Caitlin is their teacher, Mr. Greg Mills, and his son Matthew, if y'all would please stand. And also here with Shane, one of our pages, is his mom, Kelly Arthur, and his grandma, Norma Brown. Will the Senate please make them feel welcome?
Further introductions? Further introductions. Communications from the House.
The Clerk of the House announced the passage by that body of committee substitute for House Bill 4026, exempting businesses transporting scrap tires, waste tires, and other used tires from certain statutory provisions.
Message be received, referred to Committee on Government Organization.
House Bill 4353, creating a rational nexus requirement between prior criminal conduct and initial licensure decision making.
Message will be received and referred to Committee on Government Organization.
House Bill 4496, removing the specific mandate of the Board of Risk and Insurance Management to purchase liability insurance for the Division of Corrections.
Message be received. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the bill be read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill a first time.
House Bill 4496, removing the specific mandate of the Board of Risk and Insurance Management to purchase liability insurance for the Division of Corrections. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced. Further House messages.
House Bill 4501, relating to the ability to refuse offenders for commitment to a jail.
Message be received, referred to the Committee on the Judiciary.
House Bill 4510, prohibiting bodily intrusion by an inmate upon any person at any correctional facility.
Message be received and referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Are there further communications from the House?
No, sir.
Communications from the Executive?
There are none.
Reports from standing committees?
Your Committee on Economic Development has had under consideration Senate Bill 123 relating generally to pyramid promotional schemes and has amended same and reports the same back with recommendation that it do pass as amended, but under the original double committee reference first be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Respectfully submitted, Chandler Swope, Chair.
Report will be received. Under the original double committee reference be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration Senate Bill 190, modifying requirement that racetrack participate in West Virginia Thoroughbred Development Fund by certain date, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration Senate Bill 269, establishing Advisory Council on Rare Diseases, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on Government Organization. Respectfully submitted, Michael J. Maroney, Chair.
Report will be received. Under the original double committee reference be referred to the Committee on Government Organization.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration Senate Bill 300, updating certain terms in the West Virginia Corporation Net Income Tax Act, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration Senate Bill 316 relating to Oil and Gas Conservation Commission membership, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Mark R. Maynard, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration Senate Bill 544, authorizing pharmacists and pharmacy interns administer vaccines, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Michael J. Maroney, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration Senate Bill 551 relating to Water and Wastewater Investment and Infrastructure Improvement Act, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Mark R. Maynard, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Energy, Industry, and Mining has had under consideration Senate Bill 554 relating to termination, expiration, or cancellation of oil or natural gas leases, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation the committee substitute do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Respectfully submitted, Randy E. Smith, Chair.
Report will be received. Under the original double committee reference be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration Senate Bill 560, permitting nursing home use trained individuals administer medication, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Michael J. Maroney, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration engrossed House Bill 4007, Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Respectfully submitted, Michael J. Maroney, Chair.
Report will be received. be received under the bill's original double committee reference will be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4042, requiring agencies exempt from some or all of state purchasing requirements to adopt procedural rules, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Mark R. Maynard, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Energy, Industry, and Mining has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4091, allowing for expedited oil and gas well permitting upon payment of applicable expedited fees, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Randy E. Smith, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration engrossed House Bill 4393 relating to making suffocation and asphyxiation crimes, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Charles S. Trump IV, Chair.
Report will be received.
That's all I have, sir.
Reports from select committees.
There are none.
Introduction of bills. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that Senate Bill 669 through 683 be considered introduced, read by their titles, and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system.
The junior senator from the 17th requests unanimous consent that Senate Bill number 669 through Senate Bill number 683 be considered introduced, read by their titles, and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Resolutions.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 16 by Senator Weld, naming the firefighter Marvin Layton Hughes Memorial Bridge.
Under the rules of the Senate, the resolution will lie over one day.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 17 by Senator Ehlenfeld, naming the U.S. Marine Corps Private First Class Manuel P. Marcos Memorial Bridge.
Under the rules of the Senate, the resolution will lie over one day. Are there further resolutions?
No, sir.
Motions? Petitions?
There are none.
Unfinished business?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 15, naming the Kaylee Grace Wetzel Memorial Bridge.
Resolution will be referred to Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure.
Senate Resolution 24, congratulating Lucas and Gabby Newcomer of Noble Farms, Inc. for winning the Conservation Farm of the Year Award.
The senator from Nicholas County.
Mr. President, I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee references be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed on its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will please read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 24, congratulating Lucas and Gabby Newcomer of Noble Farms, Inc. for winning the Conservation Farm of the Year Award.
Question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? The senator from Nicholas County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to start out by saying the mission of the West Virginia Conservation Agency is to provide for and promote the protection and conservation of West Virginia's soil, land, water, and related resources for the health, safety, and general welfare of the state's citizens. Each year, there is one West Virginia farm that receives the Conservation Farm of the Year honor, and after winning the county, district, and area levels, at this time, I would like to recognize 2019's winners. Lucas and Gabby Newcomer of Noble Farms Incorporated, located near Burlington, West Virginia in Mineral County. And I stand in support of this resolution.
Thank you. Further discussion? Further discussion. The senator from Tucker County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in support of this resolution. I've got to meet this young couple this morning and see the PowerPoint that he put on. And with the way the agriculture and farming has been going in the last decade or so, it warms my heart to see that a young couple that carries on the tradition, and not only carries on the tradition, but takes the technology and modern ideas to make their farm more profitable and more environmental friendly. They're a wonderful couple, and it just warms my heart, and I was glad I got to attend this morning and meet them. So I support this resolution.
Thank you. Further discussion? The senior senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, was at that conservation breakfast this morning and was very impressed with the PowerPoint presentation. And what impressed me most was the way you're thinking outside of the box with normal farming and some of the methods you're using. And you're an inspiration to many, I'm sure, and I support this resolution.
Further discussion, the senator from Preston County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I recall a presentation that I made a few years ago, and although I don't have it in front of me right now, the tagline on that was that the downfall and ultimate demise of nearly every nation in the history of the world has been due to the loss of tillable soil and the ability to feed themselves. And I think that stands testament right here that these gentlemen are here to help fight for that cause. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, the senator from Greenbrier County.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I was a little upset when I first heard that my district didn't have the Conservation Farm of the Year again this year. We have for the past few years, and then I was fortunate enough to meet the family this morning and hear the presentation that Lucas gave, and it was very clear why you all won. You are most deserving. You are agricultural leaders for West Virginia moving forward, and we are very honored to recognize you here today. Thank you, Mr. President.
The senator from Harrison County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was privileged to recognize the Conservation Farm of the Year last year. And these folks ought to really be proud for the achievement they've had, and it ought to be a message to all of us to do as much as we can for agriculture in our state, because it can be a tremendous industry. I was very discouraged to find that our state got the least amount of federal farm aid this year compared to every other state. We need to do things to change that to help people like this. I stand in full support of SR 24, Mr. President.
Is there further discussion? Senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored to represent the district in which Mr. Newcomer's farm and his family reside, the 15th Senatorial District. We're happy to wrest that title from Greenbrier County this year. I too got to hear the presentation this morning regarding the innovative measures that Lucas and his family have instituted on that farm that are preserving the soil, enhancing its quality, rotation of cattle, and I'm very proud to join in urging the body to adopt this resolution. I ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion. Question before the Senate is adoption of resolution. The yeas and nays have been demanded. Is the demand sustained? The demand is sustained. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question there being 31 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the resolution adopted. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the comments by the senators from Nichols, Tucker, the senior senator from the 6th, the senator from Preston, Greenbrier, Harrison, and Morgan counties be placed in the appendix of the journal.
Without objection, so ordered. Junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in brief recess for the purpose of presenting the resolution.
Junior senator from the 17th moves that the Senate stand in brief recess for the purpose of presenting this resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the Senate in brief recess to present this resolution. Senate will please come to order. The Senate will please come to order. Are there further items under unfinished business?
Yes, sir. Senate Resolution 25, congratulating the George Washington High School Patriots boys tennis team for winning the 2019 Class AAA State Tennis Championship.
Junior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will please read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 25, congratulating the George Washington High School Patriots boys tennis team for winning the 2019 Class AAA State Tennis Championship.
The question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a somewhat bittersweet resolution for me. I have two current children that are Patriots with a third that will be starting high school there next year. But once upon a time, I was a tennis player, and we played these guys, and we got dominated. So going to George Washington to play them was about as fun for us as going to the dentist. However, I will say that the last match we played, after I got decimated in the singles match, we were winning the doubles match and got rained out, so I'm still taking that as a win. These guys have been a dominant group in the state tennis world for quite a while. They have won the last 3 years the state titles in a row, making it their 20th state title. This year they were led by first-year head coach Taylor Dixon, and the players on this team included Anthony McIntosh, Nadeem Jones, Azim Khan, Kareem Bacha, Alex Stacy, Darshan Singh Ganai, Rushik Patel, and Joseph Michael. Guys, if I messed that up, sorry, they mess my name up all the time too. They also captured the MSAC championship and the Region 3 championships, and they have probably made themselves one of the more dominant teams that I'm sure will go down in school history, and for those reasons, I urge adoption of the resolution.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted. Junior Senator from... Are there further resolutions? Or unfinished business?
Yes, sir. Senate Resolution 26, congratulating George Washington High School Patriots volleyball team for winning the 2019 Class AAA State Volleyball Championship.
The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will please read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 26, congratulating the George Washington High School Patriots volleyball team for winning the 2019 Class AAA State Volleyball Championship.
Question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored to stand here in support of Senate Resolution 26, honoring the 2019 Class AAA State Volleyball Champion from George Washington High School. They're led by head coach Missy Smith and assistant coaches Michaela Mena, Rachel Menders, and Dan Shreve. They have now won the school's 7th volleyball title, and en route to doing that, they won the Region 3 championship and 4 regular season championships. They also finished the season with a record of 58-2-2 and won the state tournament without losing a set. And I have to say, Mr. President, I had never been to a competitive volleyball match before, and I had the ability to go to some of the semifinal match and the championship match, and I can tell you, it was impressive. I mean, the girls were tremendous. The athleticism, the skill, the tenacity, they were diving all over the court, smashing balls all over the net. Honestly, I'd never been to a competitive volleyball match, and I could not believe how talented they were. It was a truly impressive performance. So with having said that, I urge adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. Further discussion? Is there further discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted. Are there further items under unfinished business?
Yes, sir. One more team. Senate Resolution 27, congratulating the George Washington High School Patriots boys soccer team for winning the 2019 Class AAA State Championship.
The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will please read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 27, congratulating the George Washington High School Patriots boys soccer team for winning the 2019 Class AAA state championship.
Question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored to stand in support of Senate Resolution 27, honoring the 2019 Class AAA championship team for boys soccer. The soccer team is led by head coach Eric Engel and assistant coaches David Nelson, Evan Polly, Brad McKee, Peter Nelson, and Noah Schock. They're also led by captains Zachariah Abdul-Jalil, Matthew Vaughn, E.J. Davis, Solomon Clark, and Max Trethaway. The team this year finished with a record of 23-2 and set a state record by advancing to the state soccer tournament for the 9th consecutive year, winning also in 2011, 2013, 2016, and 2018. It's been an incredible run for this team, getting to 9 straight state championships and winning 5 of them, and I'm sure it's a run that they'll continue to be on. So I urge adoption of this resolution.
Is there further discussion? Not. The question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in brief recess for the purpose of presenting these resolutions.
Junior senator from the 17th moves that the Senate stand in recess for the purpose of presenting these resolutions. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the Senate in recess to present these resolutions. Senate will please come to order. The Senate will please come to order. Are there further items under unfinished business?
No, sir.
Bills on third reading.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 449, authorizing Department of Commerce promulgate legislative rules. Third reading of the bill.
Question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 449 is a rules bundle. Comes to us from the Department of Commerce. Contains a number of rules. The first one is by the Department of Commerce, the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology and Transfer Matching Funds Program. It's codified at 145 CSR 15, and that's a new rule that flows from House Bill 2550 that we passed last session. The next rule comes to us from the Division of Labor, and it relates to the supervision of plumbing work. It's codified at 42 CSR 32, and that rule reflects the passage of House Bill 2004 in the last legislative session. The next rule in the bundle is a Division of Labor rule relating to the regulation of HVAC cooling work. It's codified at 42 CSR 34, and that bill also comes from House Bill 2004, passed during the 2019 regular session. It relates to career and technical education. The next rule in the bundle comes from the Division of Forestry, and it's a rule addressing sediment control during commercial timber harvesting operations and licensing. It's codified at 22 CSR 2, and that brings the rule into compliance with Senate Bill 404, which became law after the 2019 session. There's another forestry rule relating to sediment control during timber harvesting operations, codified at 22 CSR 3, and that's an amended rule. It complies with the bill passed last year. It adds a 10-year sunset provision. The next rule in the bundle is a rule from the Office of Minors Health, Safety, and Training. It relates to substance abuse screening standards and procedures. It's codified at 56 CSR 19, and that's in response to Senate Bill 635, excuse me, which passed during last year's regular session. The next rule in the bundle is a rule from the Office of Minors Health, Safety, and Training. Rules governing the certification and recertification and training of EMT minors and the certification of EMT instructors. It's codified at 56 CSR 22. Closes loopholes that allow EMT minors to miss required annual training modules, still maintain their certification. It adds definitions. The next rule in the bundle comes from the Division of Natural Resources, and it's a rule that relates to commercial whitewater outfitters. It's codified at 58 CSR 12. That is an amendment to an existing rule. The Whitewater Commission is charged with regulating commercial whitewater rafting. The next rule comes from the DNR. It's a rule regarding transporting and selling wildlife pelts and parts, codified at 58 CSR 16, and that flows from House Bill 2521, which passed during the 2019 regular session. The next rule in the bundle comes from the DNR, and it's a boating rule. It's codified at 58 CSR 25, and we have two of those. There's another one from the DNR, which is special boating rules, codified at 58 CSR 26, and it lists special rules for government-owned, operated lakes. I won't read through all those, but it delineates which are allowed to have motors, changes in those rules. There's a DNR rule regarding special requirements concerning boating. That's codified at 58 CSR 28, and it's a repealer. That's a rule that's being repealed because it's no longer necessary. We have a rule in the bundle from the DNR that relates to the public use of campgrounds in West Virginia state parks and state forests, and campsites in state rail trails under the Division of Natural Resources. That rule is codified at 58 CSR 32. It removes language referencing state wildlife management areas because those areas are no longer under the Parks and Recreation section of the division. There's a new rule from the DNR relating to special projects and grants for West Virginia state parks, state forests, and state rail trails under the division of the DNR, under the Division of Natural Resources. That's codified at 58 CSR 34. That raises the cap on 50% matching grants that the agency may award to state parks, forests, rail trails, and other public lands from $7,500 to $25,000 per project as part of the Adopt a Park, Adopt a State Park, Forest, or Rail Trail program. The next rule in the bundle is from the DNR, and it defines terms that are used in hunting and trapping. It's codified at 58 CSR 46, and it deletes the definition of the term individual permanently disabled in the lower extremities, and that's necessitated to comply and conform to House Bill 2715, which was passed during the 2019 regular session. The next rule in the bundle also comes from the DNR, and its prohibitions on when hunting and trapping can occur. It lists the blanket prohibition of hunting in state parks and wildlife refuges and allows the state parks to have controlled deer hunts conducted. Some of those have been conducted with some success around the state already. The next rule in the bundle is a DNR rule. It's a special fishing rule, codified at 58 CSR 61. And this proposed rule establishes fishing areas and prohibitions with respect to the taking of fish and other aquatic species. The next rule in the bundle is also a DNR rule, and it relates to the catching and selling of bait fish. It's codified at 58 CSR 62, and it changes the permissible size of cast nets and seines used for bait fish. The last rule in the bundle is also from the DNR, and it relates to falconry. It's codified at 58 CSR 65, and it provides that an application, it sets fees for permits for falconry, and says that renewals are subject to a $100 renewal fee, and it revises the leg band requirements for raptors and sets forth importation permit requirements, special permit requirements with regard to peregrine falcons. Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge the adoption or the passage of this bill containing the rules bundle.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion? Not. The question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 31 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective from passage and request unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage of the bill be used to make it so effective.
The junior senator from the 17th moves that the bill be made effective from passage and request unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage of the bill be used to make it so effective. Is there objection? Chair hears none. On this question being 31 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absent not voting, more than 2/3 of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill effective from passage. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 550, permitting leashed dogs track mortally wounded deer or bear. Third reading of the bill.
The question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Upshur County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 550 creates a new section 5J within the same Article 2, which would allow a person who is legally hunting and reasonably believes he or she has mortally wounded a deer or bear to use leash dogs or use a dog handler of leash dogs to track and locate the mortally wounded deer or bear. The bill also amends Section 16, which sets forth a protocol for when a natural resource officer takes custody of a dog known to have hunted or chased deer that were unleashed, except as provided in the new Section 5J. The current protocol mandates placing a Class 1 legal advertisement holding the dog for 10 days after publication and destruction if the dog is unclaimed, requiring an owner who claims the dog to pay up to a set amount for the cost of keep and advertisement and authorization to kill the dog if there is a bona fide but unsuccessful effort to capture a dog that is detected to be chasing or pursuing deer. As amended, Section 16 would simply require the dog to be returned to the owner if able to be determined, or if not, to deliver the dog to the appropriate county humane officer or facility. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and I appreciate the passing of the bill. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion? Not all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 30 yeas, 1 nay, 3 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting, having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed Senate Bill 642, correcting incorrect code citation in West Virginia Consumer Credit and Protection Act. Third reading of the bill.
The question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Bill 642 is a bill that was originated by the Senate Judiciary Committee. It is a technical cleanup bill. It amends a single section of the code. It's in the Consumer Credit Protection Act, Article 1, Section 105 of the Act. In that section, there was an internal code reference that was incorrect. The law formerly made the reference to Chapter 1, Article 36B, and there is no Chapter 1, Article 36B. The reference should have been Chapter 36B, Article 1. This bill corrects that error. I'd be happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge passage.
Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 31 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absent not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting, having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed House Bill 4103, relating to Office of Drug Control Policy. Third reading of the bill.
Question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Is there discussion? Senator from Marshall County.
Can we request lays over till Monday? Cindy didn't give me any on it. Yeah, what do I have to say? Yeah, just requesting you to set the bill lay over 1 day and retain its place on the calendar. Mr. President, I request unanimous consent that the bill lay over for 1 day and retain its place on the calendar.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Are there further bills on third reading?
No, sir.
Bills on second reading.
Senate Bill 281, removing residency requirement for persons applying for reappointment to municipal police departments. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Not, the bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 511, regulating pawnbrokers.
Junior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the bill lie over 1 day while retaining its place on the calendar.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 534, removing workers' compensation exclusion for temporary legislative employees. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Not, the bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 547, relating to employer testing, notice, termination, and forfeiture of unemployment compensation. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Not, the bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Senate Bill 552, requiring contracts of $25,000 or more be competitively bid. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Not, the bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading. Bills on first reading. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that all bills on first reading be considered read a first time and advanced to second reading.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Introduction of guest. Remarks by members of the Senate. The Senator from Raleigh County.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's a historic event taking place at midnight London time tonight. It has come to be known as Brexit, when the country of Great Britain will be exiting the European Union. And in light of that, we realize that in the coming year there will be a number of trade agreements that England will be initiating, and I think that the United States will certainly be part of that. This is a window of opportunity for the West Virginia Department of Commerce to market economic opportunities to our mother country. No doubt there will be new trade agreements established between the United States and Great Britain in the fairly near future. As the chairman of your Workforce Committee, Mr. President, we are laser focused on improving, enhancing, and encouraging workforce participation in our state. I would like to request that the governor make the tools available to Commerce Secretary Gaunch so that West Virginia can be on the front end of bringing new companies into our state. In keeping with the sentiments of my constituents in Senate District 9, I'd like to see new workforce opportunities in the southern half of southern West Virginia, particularly. And while I'm at it, Mr. President, the attempts to enhance our workforce efforts in West Virginia could also be furthered by encouraging what has become known as Vexit concerning our neighbors to the east. Thank you.
Further remarks by members. Miscellaneous business. The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pending announcements, I move the Senate stand adjourned until Monday, February 3rd at 11 a.m.
Are there announcements? The senior senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to remind everyone that the Jeep rally will be located tomorrow near the Veterans Memorial, and it'll be starting at 9:30, and we plan to leave here at 10:30 and go on a backcountry excursion near the town of Sanderson here. And for any legislator that would like to come there for the meet and greet or even ride along with us, the West Virginia Jeep Club will be offering seats in one of their Jeep to go out and see what this hobby is about and the economic opportunity that it provides for this state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further announcements. Not the question before the Senate is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until Monday morning at 11 a.m.? All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the Senate adjourned until Monday at 11 a.m.